Welcome back to another interview of the authors of the book The Mind of the World Philosophy Day 2019, sponsored by the Malaysian branch of the World Philosophical Forum and YouTube channel. Today, Dr. Nik is here with us. She wrote a paper called The Philosophy of Wellness, Well-being and Life Fulfillment, right? She's one of the authors of this book that I invite you to read about. Thank you, Doctor, to be here with you, with us today. I will ask some questions about this paper because all of this is something interesting everyone should know about and read about. So the first question I have is, I realized in your paper, I didn't find out the concept of wellness, even though it's the main title. You developed the ideas based on this, but I didn't find it. Maybe because I didn't read it all, just some pages. But what is wellness?
Okay, if you read the papers from the beginning, I discuss about self-fulfillment and well-being on the first. How does it relate into well-being and self-fulfillment? Wealth is at the end of the papers to say that how does it relate to self-fulfillment, which is related to money and possession. So if you generalize what is wealth, it is very much related to money and the possession. Whether you have big house, you have nice women with you, you have a lot of things that you possess, either jewelries and everything, that is wealth. So money and possession is the definition of wealth in the paper.
So wealth is paradigmatic, it's the same for everyone.
In general, theoretically, under the philosophical ideas about wealth is pragmatic. It is similar needs and perceptions of everybody in the world.
Now, but what you are saying about this when describing wellness is looks like something selfish. So is it possible to have wealth but not being selfish?
In my paper, I describe wealth as a moderating factors, which means in academics, it means wealth is just enhancing your happiness, your self-satisfaction and self-fulfillment. So it is needed. It is not important in a way, but it's needed for everybody to have wealth. But it's just to enhance your happiness, your self-satisfaction and your self-fulfillment. So when we relate to selfish, is that when you have more, wealth is about rat racing. When you have more, you never feel enough. So when you have that kind of mentality, you are considered as selfish. Selfish when you willing to destroy other people because of wealth. So that is the idea behind selfishness of having wealth, which is necessary but may not be may not be related to self-fulfillment. The more you have, the more you may need it. So many scholars says wealth is about rat racing. You run after it, you will never have satisfaction.
That is interesting that you're saying, because actually you're watching the selfishness in a different perspective. I understand selfishness as something that you only care about yourself. So, but that's why I think that wellness is needed to help others, not because you can give. But there is a quote in my country, my hometown, that says you don't have to give the fish to the people, but to teach them how to fish. So I think wellness is necessary, and because you are in the entrepreneur school, I think that you're better related to this concept. So how do you help people how do you teach people to fish?
I agree with you. Everybody needs wealth, but not necessarily for themselves alone, but for able to help others. In my papers, I'm very much concerned about the self-fulfillment of an individual. That means how is actually wealth, happiness, self-satisfaction and self-fulfillment is interrelated. So in my paper, I discuss about where is actually wealth in your life to make you happy. So that's why I'm not saying that wealth is the main factors that contribute to self-fulfillment of everybody, because I discussed 3 theories in that paper. One is called hedonism, second is called desire fulfillment, and the last is called objectivism. So long time ago, during the divorce period, people lead self-fulfillment with pleasure, sex, enjoyment. That is actually what people need to lead into self-fulfillment. But the second era says that, hey, look, pleasure is not enough. It's the desire towards things that you want is actually leads into happiness and self-fulfillment. But only recently, not recently, I could say in 19th, 20th, and 21st centuries, people are now focusing on wealth, money, and possession as things that leads into their self-fulfillment. So, in this capitalism era, I could say wealth is important, but not necessarily wealth will make you happy, satisfied with your life, and have your high self-fulfillment. So the idea is that, but wealth is necessary, not only for yourself, but wealth can help you to help others.
I agree with you, and that's why we part from the wealthness, but we pass through the well-being and the life fulfillment, because I understand, because most of the people with wealth maybe are empty, and it's really interesting that you can see on the television that rich people are consume a lot of drugs and dying because of that. Something that I can't understand, because the more money I do, the more organizations I create, the more education systems I create. So I think that's part of what we're talking about the producing wealth, but to create sense of life, helping others, the life fulfillment, what we are talking about. So in this context, how the Islamic education help their students, their community, to use wealth in order to create this type of, maybe we can say, ventures or values to help others and have a life fulfillment this way?
Okay, if you read the papers, my papers, towards the end of the chapters, I discuss about wealth and religiosity. So with spirituality, with religiosity that embed in you, you should be able to know how is actually wealth can benefit you and of course the community. So in Islam, we didn't hinder people from acquire wealth, but acquiring wealth is not means to destroying others. If you remember that in Malaysia, there's a lot of scandals, scandals that is associated to acquiring too much wealth for the self-fulfillment. And when we realize that it is not leads into happiness or satisfaction of even those who are actually rich once upon a time and now getting into jail, because they create something for themselves and have more money but it's illegal. So we do have modules in our university, especially in Islamic finance, that we teach people or we teach students towards creating wealth, but in a prudent way, into spirituality concepts, religiosity, and some kind of values of money to them as well as to the community. So I could say if we have that spirituality in our heart, our mind, and religiosity is part of our way of life, they know how to utilize wealth well, not to be selfish, destroying others, and not to become rat racer. I like to use the words rat racer because nowadays people don't feel enough. The more money they got, the more they want it. And also, that is how the power of money can make people, lost their life. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I think we all have that problem. I mean, worldwide, not just Islamic or Christians. Right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, there are quite a lot of new practices that democratize wealthness. I mean, before, last century, only wealthy people can invest in maybe securities and maybe commodities. But today, with the thanks to the technology, almost everybody can invest in securities or shares of a big company or commodities, all of that, even though they don't know too much about it. And there are another tools that are used for entrepreneurs to raise capital that allows anybody to invest on startups, which I think personally is the best way to create wealthness, because you have an idea that costs you maybe just $10,000 to create the MVP, the minimum viable product. But with 1 or 2 years time, maybe because of the penetration it has in the market, this product now worth, let's say, $100 million, this company. So what I do believe is that these tools allows everyone to have wealth. But I think there is a sort of misconception about what capitalism is, about giving you the tools or the opportunity to give the world something it needs. And that's what entrepreneurs are focused on.
Yeah.
The more they help others, the more consumption it is for the product it has. So it is all related. The startups, the tools for investment, and of course wealth and life fulfillment and all of that. So in this context, how do you, as one expert in this field and the educator of the future of this nation and Islamic youth, how do you use these modern tools to improve, enhance the knowledge of students about how to create wealth in society, using all of these modern tools?
With this era of what IR, digital technology, IoT, Internet of Things, data analytics and everything, it's actually conquering the world of entrepreneurship, or even the world of education and almost every aspect of sectors, So whether you like it or you don't like it, you have to keep pace with all this technology. So for creating wealth, now people are talking about fintech. People are talking about bitcoins, blockchain, crowdfunding, So I think this is a very good platform for entrepreneurs or even for consumers to get into each other. So creating wealth nowadays is not as difficult as those days, especially in searching for consumers, because you have technology that can link from one to another. So I think creating wealth is much faster with technology, but still the cyber securities have to take charge also in terms of spam. There's a lot of hackers and everything. So with technology, there are also positive and negative. They call it positive or negative impact. The positive things is that it's much easier to create wealth. You can see that there's a lot of millionaires through online businesses. You can see that many youngsters can become successful entrepreneurs just by selling products through online. But at the same time, you can also see a lot of hackers who take advantage of technology to cheat people. So for me, technology has to be used wisely. Again, if I go back to the theory, the philosophy of self-well-being or self-fulfillment, you must know what you need. Do you need to get wealth, or you get wealthy because of, destroying others? So, Rand in the study shows that objectivism is very important when you want to identify your self-fulfillment, regardless of whether in the previous era without technology or the current era with technology. So when you know your needs, what is the needs behind you are having wealth? If your needs is actually to help yourself in having high level of individuals, or if your need is also to help your communities, or if your need is actually to help the country in general, I think that is actually things that educators or universities should teach students. That wealth is actually not for yourself alone. Wealth is actually probably coming through you to help the community. Whatever tools that you are using. So again, tools is just a platform.
I agree, but that's why I'm asking all of these questions, because today, as I told you before, there is a misconception of, because there is a wild capitalism, which is different, and capitalism.
Yeah.
So I agree that you first need to lead students and the youth to what do they need to fulfill their life. I agree with that. And that is the important key to develop new entrepreneurs. Because as I told you, the more utility, the more needs are solved with a new invention, a new product, the more it's going to be consumed worldwide.
Yeah.
So actually that is the focus on entrepreneurs right now. How can I help more people? Because the more people I can help with my invention, the more consumption. There is a quote that I love that says, if selfish will understand how profitable it is to share, they will share just for selfishness. Because the more you help, the more you receive. So that is, the line of the questions I am making, because I think that you have an important role in this nation. And of course, if you have the opportunity like this to spread these ideas worldwide, you can help more people. So how do you lead youth to create this life fulfillment, in order to create new entrepreneurships, new ventures, to help people and create wealth?
I would like to advise youth out there, take whatever opportunity that you have. Like you said, there's a lot of tools with technology, with the digital economy. So that is opportunity. So this opportunity has provided a lot of advantage to the youth, especially those young ones who are technology savvy. So that is one. Grab the opportunities. So in whatever circumstances, opportunity has, because the fast changing world nowadays make the opportunities move very fast. So first, grab the opportunities. Second, you must know why that you are actually creating what you are doing. Because again, I agree that sometimes your selfishness can also make people's values from that selfishness. Okay, but in a way, selfishness has to not reason behind destroying others. It is not that you are creating wealth just because for your personal self-fulfillment, but also for others to enjoy and benefit from it. So that is another thing. The three things is, please identify what is actually the needs behind your creation of wealth. So if the needs is for spirituality purposes, like for Islam, we pay zakat, we pay sadaqah, donation and so on. So the more wealthy you are, the more you can contribute back to the society through zakat and through donation. That is things that what you should have in your mind. Having reasons, needs behind, and be objective of what you are doing. Not you are just creating wealth for your pleasure, for your desire alone. Nowadays, capitalism is actually way of life, but capitalism has positive and negative part of it. So that's the three things I think youth should think on when they want to create wealth for themselves, which is actually helping the others as well. Be selfish for the values of others towards your selfishness.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love that quote. Yeah. So thank you, Professor Nik, to be here with us. I invite you all to read her paper inside the book, The Mind of the World Philosophy Day 2019. Thank you, Professor.
Welcome.
Thank you all for being here.